Hi guys, welcome back to another Planet Zoo video. This time I have one aimed at beginners specifically. What I've got for you is a list of 5 things that I want you as a beginner to focus on practicing. Now, obviously there's way more than 5 things that are useful to build and to practice building in Planet Zoo, but I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. I wanted to focus on these 5 things that I'm going to show you. Now, you might be wondering, what are we looking at right now? What is this? Well, there is something very important that I want you guys to keep in mind as we go through this list, and here's what I want you to remember. So what this is, what you're looking at, is my very first attempt at a habitat, right? This was a hyena habitat. It was the first time I ever made a genuine, real attempt to build something, right? And as you can see, it did not work out. It's a mess. I never finished it. But the attempt was very important, and I learned a lot from attempting it. Going over here now, this was a jaguar. This is my second attempt at building a habitat. This was a jaguar habitat. Again, didn't go anywhere, never finished it, but I learned from it, okay? And then finally, this was my third attempt. This is my Komodo dragon dome, which you guys may have seen. We have a speed build video up for this one. This was my third attempt at a habitat. And obviously, huge jump, right? Huge jump in quality between those first 2 and this one. So what happened? Well, what happened was, in between doing these big ambitious habitats, I was focusing also on making smaller things. And that's what I want you guys to keep in mind. When you're building the things on this list, I don't want you to stop trying to make your big, ambitious habitats, right? I still want you to go for it. I want you to go for those huge plazas. I want you to go for those really elaborate builds. You know, I want you to keep trying to make those fantastic things that you see in your imagination that might be just a little beyond your experience level right now, because there's value in still attempting these, right? There's absolutely value in it. So that is what I want you guys to keep in mind. Keep making your big habitats, keep going for it, but as you do so, I want you guys to also be practicing the things on this list, which brings me to the first item. Okay, first thing on the list is centerpieces. Now, centerpieces are here for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that with centerpieces, you're going to get a good variety in size, right? A centerpiece, these are fairly small. These examples that I have, these are fairly small centerpieces. And they could be even smaller, and they could also be huge. Your centerpieces could be very big, very ambitious. So that's one reason that I want you guys to focus on centerpieces. And the other reason is the variety of types of centerpieces that you could be making. So, for example, this one is very natural. It's a lot of rocks, it's a lot of plants. The statues I chose are wood. That's a very natural looking centerpiece. Over here, this one is also very natural, but this one is a water feature. Water features are another type of centerpiece. And then over here is one I whipped up that is very man-made, right? It's very symmetrical, it's very constructed, little chic. That's another type of centerpiece that you can do. So this is what I want you to focus on with your centerpieces, okay? I want you to do a variety of sizes and a variety of types with your centerpieces. And also, don't forget, lighting. When you do your centerpieces, I want you to focus on lighting. I want you to put some thought into it. Here's the lighting for this one. And here's a different set of lighting over here. And here's the lighting for this one. Lighting will really make a big difference in anything that you build. Next up, I want you guys to be practicing your shop and staff building shells. These are the covers that are going to go over the base shops. So these are really good to practice because, again, you can do a wide variety of them. And the other great thing about these is that they're reusable. So you make one that you like, you're going to be using that possibly all over your zoo, definitely within the same section of the zoo. So not only are these good practice, but you're going to get some mileage out of what you make, right? These are just a couple that I whipped up as some quick examples. Again, we have a very natural looking one, lots of plants, lots of wood. Over here we have some of the, at the time of this recording, the new Europe pieces, which are fantastic. They're so beautiful. And there is just an endless possibility, really, for the type of styles that you can go for with these shells. That's the second thing that I want you guys to be practicing. Third, I want y'all to be making your own shelters, your animal shelters for in your habitats. Just like the centerpieces, you're going to have available to you the option of doing something very, very natural. This is rocks and trees, right? Or something man-made, which is like this simple one that I whipped up over here. But in addition to the variety that you can do with shelters, this is also going to help you start getting some practice with your animal management, right? Because you're going to be checking your animal traversable terrain, for instance. You're going to have to factor in things like, can the animal get into the shelter? Is there enough space in the shelter for all the animals? So that's why I chose these, not just for the variety that you can make, but because it does interact a bit with the animal management part of the zoo. You're also going to, in doing these, get some practice with your terrain painting, right? Because you wouldn't just have, for instance, just grass all over here. We've got stone, we've got soil, we've got some grassy parts. So making animal shelters is also going to interact with your terrain painting and give you practice with that as well. Here's the other one, humble little shelter, and you can do either way. Whatever works for that habitat or that zoo, you can go man-made, you can go for natural caves, entirely up to you, but I want you to practice both if possible. Okay, and next, I want you guys to practice making your own custom fences and barriers. And I chose these because with fences and barriers, these are going to give you practice with a lot of these very small pieces, see? This is detail work, guys. More so than almost anything else that we've covered yet. You're going to have the opportunity to include small details in your centerpieces and your shop shells, but with fences, detail work is the entirety of it. Everything that you're going to do in a fence is going to be with these small little pieces. And this is really going to give you practice in working with these. And of course, fences can also be very, very simple or very elaborate. This is really simple. This is just a bunch of ice pieces. But that's what I want you guys to practice with. I want you to do a variety. Fences are also just a really important accent piece. Once you guys start making your own custom fences, you are going to love seeing these around your zoos. They really kick it up a notch. You're gonna love it. And then, at last, we come to bridges. And I put these last for a reason, actually. Because bridges can get pretty complicated. I want you guys to take a look at this one. This one is using an elevated path, right, over the water. And what doing bridges is going to do, in addition to the actual, building and constructing of the bridge, this is going to give you practice with working with the paths. It's going to give you practice with working with the water and the terrain, all really, really good things. Now, if this is looking, I have a stone bridge here with the elevated wide path, right? If this is looking like too much, what I want you to start with is a more basic bridge. This is another reason I chose bridges, because they can be really quite simple, or they can be like this, right? So this is a basic bridge. Flat path, completely flat, over the water. This kind of bridge is going to be much, much easier to build when you're just starting out. These are going to be easier because you won't have to worry about lining everything up with the path elevations. You won't have to worry about having a wider path. Everything here is just going along with this basic 4-meter path. So this is a good place to start, making this kind of flat bridge. But then eventually I want you guys to attempt this one, right? When you get a little more comfortable, start trying to make these elevated bridges like this. And of course, always, always don't forget, lighting is a part of this. With all of these builds, I don't want you to forego lighting. Remember to, if you're in sandbox, remember to turn the nighttime on and check your lighting. The lighting in this game is really beautiful, really well done. And I want you guys to take advantage of that and see all the different kinds of things you can do with lighting. In fact, I've been thinking of making a lighting guide. Let me know if that is something that would be useful. Leave me a comment if you want to see a guide to lighting and all the different things you can do with lighting. And that is our list. Now, again, as we said, there's so many things in this game that you could be building. So if you are inspired by something, definitely go for it. Build what your heart tells you. But if you're feeling a little bit lost, focusing in on some of the things on this list might help. So thank you guys for joining me for this video. Oh, update. Silver Dawn is very close now. It is nearing completion of the first episode, so you guys can look forward to that coming up sometime within the next couple of weeks, probably. Oh, and let me know if you do want that lighting guide. If you would like to have a guide to lighting in Planet Zoo, I will be sure to make that for you. Okay guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye!